Welcome everyone. Very quickly, if this is your first time here, my name is Lindsay Lehr. I'm the Managing Director of Payments and Commerce and Market Intelligence, or PCMI. And we run these sessions once a month as an opportunity to invite our entire network to have a collective session, a collective space for looking at trends, for discussing developments, technology, innovations, and really a co-learning environment. So we typically present a little bit of content. We invite a guest speaker, but most importantly are you, all the participants who ask questions and who provide your insight and your own anecdotes, your own examples to really give us a rich understanding of the topic at hand. So welcome, and we really encourage you guys to participate openly. All right, so let's go ahead. Just a quick couple of guidelines to ensure a successful coffee chat this morning. We can go to the next slide. As I mentioned, this is an interactive session. It's not a typical webinar. So as you can see, many of your colleagues already have their cameras on. We want to see you. We want you to open up your mic and participate. Tell us where you're from, what company you're from, where in the world you're dialing in from. You can jump right into the conversation if you feel comfortable. You can raise your hand. You can put a question or comment in the chat and we'll get to you. However you want to participate is more than welcome today. So please, as at the same time, this is being recorded and it does get published to our YouTube page for a replay after the session. You can share it with colleagues who may have missed it. So just mind your comments like you would any other any session where competitors, investors, journalists might be present. Okay, let's go ahead. All right, so I'm very, very happy to introduce Erick Padilla. Many of you may know Erick. He's been in a couple of different coffee chats, both as an attendee and as a presenter. But today he'll be telling us about his newest venture, Aida, which we're really excited to hear about. As we talk more broadly about the revolution of what we call solo sellers, right, or social sellers, right, people selling over social media, which has been a phenomenon that has dramatically increased since the pandemic and has been for a long time really endemic to the economies in Latin America. So Erick, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you to you, Lindsay. Pretty excited. I really mean it. I mean, for me, as you mentioned, it's a very special coffee chat because I've been here as an attendant, as a presenter. Many of you have met me before in my time at DAP, this interoperable payment network, and I'm pretty excited to tell you about this venture, Aida. So as an entrepreneur right now, right? So pretty excited and looking forward to chat with you all guys.
Terrific. So we'll get more into Aida in a moment. I'd also like to welcome and introduce to you all Fernanda Landgraf, our newest senior analyst at PCMI, who will be helping administer and manage the coffee chats. You'll be hearing from Fernanda increasingly as we go through these sessions. So welcome, Fernanda. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you.
All right, so let's dive into it. If we go ahead, we decided to spend the day today, given Erick and his very interesting company, which we're going to be learning about in a moment. We wanted to take a pause to talk about the SME, right, the small business. And this is a very, in Latin America in particular, but this trend we're talking about is absolutely global. And we have been, looking at the SME, the small business, for over a decade since I've been looking at payments, looking at how to expand acceptance and also how to cater banking products for SMEs. However, in the last 2 years, interest in this particular segment has really exploded. From the pandemic, from the wave of digitization we've all experienced, and the cultural shift that kind of has overtaken the globe since the pandemic. And I've had increasingly clients come to us asking us to study the SME because for a long time, SMEs have just been thrown into one big category of SME. But you can have, a 30-person company, right? Totally, profitable, fully formalized, fully banked, 30 employees, $1 million turnover or more. You can also have someone making tortillas out of their house and selling on Facebook, right? So and they all get thrown into the same bucket. And so recently the industry has started to realize we really need to do a proper segmentation. we really need to understand who these guys are and develop better products for them. And a lot of times those products are not even related to payments. They're related to business management and sales management, right? So anyway, just to give us some numbers, we have got about 400 formal small businesses worldwide, okay? And 13 million in Latin America. Now that's formal, right? That number goes up twofold or even threefold when we're talking about the informal economy, okay? And actually, when we look at the impact of small business in worldwide and in Latin America, it's absolutely dominant in the number of entities. But then when we look at this breakdown, I find this fascinating. This solo seller number, right? It's almost 90% of the entire population. And solo seller could be, again, someone selling out of their home via social media. It could be a professional freelancer, right? Again, there's a huge diversity of folks who fall into this category. Okay, let's go ahead. And probably many of you have already experienced, post-pandemic, be your own boss has grown in popularity, right? Through the influence of social media, digital platforms, the growth of international business. Being your own boss is more possible and more accessible than ever. And when we look at Latin America, entrepreneurship has always been a strong pillar of the economy, whether or not that's formalized or not. So we've got some stats here, right? 20% of Latin American adults are initiating new business ventures in the next couple of years. LAC entrepreneurs anticipate employing 6 or more people within the next 5 years. Almost 30% of companies are owned by a singular individual as opposed to a partnership or kind of corporation. So we know that entrepreneurship is very strong and very important. And globally, motivations to become an entrepreneur, being your own boss is very attractive. And this is becoming more attractive through social media, and especially young folks today who don't necessarily look at traditional careers like maybe we did when we were all growing up. Being an influencer, leveraging TikTok, leveraging YouTube, to make money is now more possible than ever. And it doesn't even have to be in the digital economy. It can be just simply using those platforms as a way to sell, and leveraging digital marketing as a way to sell through these platforms. So this is very tangible. We can probably see this in our own lives with people we know. And in Latin America, where formal employment opportunities are potentially more limited, this becomes even more attractive. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, we all know that this is originating from the pandemic. SMEs are still in recovery from the pandemic, and still seeking access to credit, still seeking a more efficient way to run their business, still seeking even greater opportunities to digitize. Everyone is facing higher costs. We all experience that daily, and so we've seen a whole slew of fintech solutions seeing this as an opportunity. Aida is one that we're going to hear about in a moment. Moving to the needs of small businesses. We study payments, right? That's our business. But when we talk to small businesses, payments is actually not the biggest need necessarily, right? It has to do with first, certainly accessing credit, which yes, financial services, but increasingly it's about understanding how to sell, how to leverage digital marketing and use digital platforms, how to expand my sales, how to manage my customers, how to access a CRM, these different basic business tools that not everyone is proficient in yet. And so seeking better solutions for those types of activities. Okay, let's go ahead. And what this has really done is, created the emergence of what we call the solo seller. And we have a huge variety of these types of players, from very manual to highly digital, from low levels of education to highly professional folks, a huge variety. And people are very often doing this as a side hustle. A lot of them are not necessarily doing it full time, but increasingly seeking additional sources of income. And we have, operating from home, using all different types of payment products, and an M-Post dongle might be one, but increasingly it's digital wallets, it's RTPs, it's P2P apps, things that are free, things that are basic, things that are simple. And probably many of you have interacted with sellers like this. Okay. And then finally, the importance of social media, and not only social media, but messaging apps in general. We kind of throw WhatsApp into that social media category, is so pivotal, is so important. When we look at platforms usage by these players in Latin America, we see how important they are, as well as in the rest of the world. But we also see that about a third of them are not using any digital platform. So there's a huge opportunity here doing this. This speaks to the level of informality, the low penetration of digitization in certain sectors, and it just speaks to the opportunity to aggregate, right, these players. A lot of our clients come to us and say, Lindsay, who are the aggregators of small businesses? How can we access them? How can we access these solo sellers? And if 30% of them are not using any specific digital platform, then that becomes really challenging. And there's a big opportunity to provide a tool that will serve that sector and then aggregate them, right, for others to eventually provide services that are needed. Okay. I just love this stat, right? If we just go back 32 freelancers on average in Latin America. Now, freelancers tends to refer to more professional freelance service providers, but not necessarily. But according to desk research that we've done in different studies that are out there, their average salary is $32,000 per year, which is pretty significant in many Latin American markets. So again, a very strong income opportunity because all of a sudden the entire world, the entire globe is your market. Okay. And then finally, the question of AI is, of course, top of mind for almost everyone. We see banks as well as fintechs and other platforms being potential suppliers of AI to SMEs. Globally, 83% of small business owners intend to invest in AI in 2024. Everyone is trying to understand how to maximize this technology and how to optimize it, how to use it for their benefit. And we have several specific platforms in Latin America, which we know of, innovating and leveraging AI to provide low-cost solutions to SMEs. Because, of course, in the SME world, it's about being low-cost and driving volume, right? So this is where AI can become very useful, related to marketing, related to fraud protection, are the two kind of main use cases that we're seeing so far with AI, okay? So very general overview, but just to set the stage and provide a little bit of context and data to get us thinking about this topic. And I think that was my last slide. I think we're up. Yes. All right. So Erick and I had a very interesting conversation recently. Erick, was explaining, kind of presenting Aida to me. And I said, actually, this is really fascinating because this is a topic that has been coming to our desk over and over in the past 6 months. So I wanted Erick to share with you all what he's working on, and then have a conversation about how do we better serve this segment, right, of solo sellers or nano merchants. Who are they? What are they selling? What are their needs? So Erick, thank you again, and please take us through your slides. And again, I really want to encourage all of you to ask questions. Don't be shy. So I'll hand it over to you, Erick.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you. Very, very glad that we almost reached 60 participants. And I like it very much that how Lindsay explain it. This is not a webinar. Please ask me all the questions if you want. Let me tell you about Aida. I mean, I'm pretty excited to you guys because to tell you about Aida, guys, because we're doing really great stuff with solo sellers and micro businesses. A little bit of story of Aida. We started Aida, actually still working on that, because I call it like employee market fit. I mean, I was not part of the co-founders in that, but I was part of the founding team, and I get to see the evolution of a really tough payment company from scratch, and we start to see a really great problem that I think most of the payment companies in Latin America and Mexico are not addressing. And it was like we got a lot of merchants, a lot of businesses that approached to us as DAP, and they told us, please, I want your solution. I want you to make me accept not only cards, but I want to accept cash deposits. I want to accept wire transfers. I want to accept buy now pay later. I want to accept Cody here in Mexico is the Brazilian Pix here in Mexico, and we were like, of course, yes. Here's my API, you know. And by the time that we told that to the little merchant, to the micro seller, to the little store that sells our artisanal like retail goods and all the stuff, they say, man, I barely have someone that can manage my email. How can I like integrate an API, you know? And it was the same story with other players in the scope. I mean, of course, there is a Clip, there is a Bill Pocket, there is a iSettle, there is a PayPal. Talking about Mexico, for example, but it's generally the same case. But you know, they were only offering the card payment. You know, they were like always in the same scope, and the conversation with all those payments was like, what's the merchant discount rate? You know, and that's about it. That's about it. The services they were asking, and that's when we started to dig into the problem. What this real huge market, because no one was turning to look at them. I mean, no one is focusing on them. I'm gonna drop you some statistics. 80% of the digital tools are meant for medium to large companies in the world. Only 20% of the digital tools are meant for the micro and small businesses. So when you think about a lot of tools that you, I mean, that you are common are like familiar with, like Slack, like for example, I don't know, like Stripe, like the 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 I mean, I can come up with so many examples, but at the end of the day, they are not meant for the solo seller and the micro seller. And as you saw, 90% of the businesses are these businesses. That was for us mind blowing. I mean, we always talk about SMEs, but we never realize how huge the market of solo sellers and micro sellers are. So that's why we come up with Aida, in order to get rid of the statement that we're going to be a fintech company or a payment company. We wanted to become a selling company, a sales tech. You know, it's kind of different as we are used to, and it's different that we are also as founders, we never thought this kind of category of startups existed, but they do exist, because we found out that this segment, this universe of businesses, that's what they are looking for. They're not looking for another payment solution. They're not looking for another e-commerce solution. They are looking to grow sales. That's the pain. That's the problem. They don't need another payment processor that gives them fancy stuff or real-time payments. That is like something they really appreciated. But at the end of the day, they are seeing payments as a commodity. And it's always a conversation about the merchant discount rate. And it's always the pain point of these large companies, that this merchant discount rate of talking about payments, it's always turning to zero, you know? And the evolution of payments for us, at least in this scope, it's about selling. It's not about payments. So next, please. Just to not mention, Aida stands for Artificial Intelligence Deals Assistant. That's kind of the acronym for Aida. And I mean, the thing is that we just wanted to dig into more and more to the problem, and we have started to realize that the problem of selling is composed by three main pillars. The first one is sales efficiency. SMEs can lose up to 20 to to 20% of the potentials due to inefficiencies. That I don't know. I don't make the right follow up for the customer. I don't have like the speed and the velocity in order to attend all the leads that come from Facebook, from Instagram, and all the stuff. The friction of the payment, around 70% of the deals that these micro business and solo sellers lost is because of the friction of the payment, because they don't have like all the payment methods. They don't have a smooth checkout. They don't have not even a digital place where remote customers can pay. They are always looking to pay on delivery or in cash and all the stuff. I mean, 70% of these deals are lost because of abandoned checkout processes. And I'm not talking about just e-commerce. Checkout for us is the moment of truth of the payment. So it can be either in WhatsApp, it can be either in Instagram and Messenger. But at the time that you make the deal, that you make the deal closed, and then you have to get paid for it, it's where it gets lost. And the multi-tool mayhem for micro sellers and small sellers, it's a nightmare to manage Shopify, to manage Stripe, to manage CRMs, to manage I don't know, accountant tools, invoicing tools. For them, at the end of the day, they are everything in the business at that stage. They are the sellers, they are the marketing guys, they are the ops guys, they are the finance guys, they are the accounting guys. They do everything for them, and they are like so saturated of work that what they wanted the most is to get rid of all of most of that. I mean, loaded work in order to focus on what really matters: the business growth and the business operation. So probably, Lindsay, there's something.
Erick, I have a question on the, the 70% is a big, compelling number. What is, lack of familiar payment options? What do you mean by that? Are you referring to payment methods specifically? What is missing? What are the payment methods that are missing, or the payment experiences that are missing?
Yeah. So most of the times it's, I don't accept credit cards. I don't accept debit cards. I don't accept wire transfers. No, and we're gonna get really dig into it, because at the end of the day, when we talk solo sellers, and specifically in Latin America, we face something very brutal that we're gonna see here. Most of the times, it is thought that solo sellers and micro sellers do not accept payment methods due to taxing implications and all the stuff. But it is a myth, and we are proving it through Aida, because the most important thing, the most important barrier that they have in order to accept payment methods, different payment methods, including credit cards and debit cards, that we are, of course, very aware that they are the most important payment, the most important digital payment besides cash right now. It's because easy of use. It's because a great experience. Most of these sellers don't want to deal with banking apps, don't want to deal with PSP apps. They don't want to deal with a dongle that they can acquire in a retail store. And then what about the dashboards? What about the statistics and all the stuff? It is the main barrier that we have found in the market, and that we have proved in the market in order to start accepting different payments. It is not a taxing stuff that is the myth of the industry. It is a easy of use. It is a great experience. And that's why we made it conversational in Aida. That's a good thing, Lindsay. We find out that there's no app, there's no UX, there is no anything more effective in order to deliver tools to this segment that a chat. So that's why we brought Aida into a full conversational experience, and we're gonna talk in a moment of what Aida does actually. But that's the answer, Lindsay.
Yeah, I think the the fact that you're saying that it's not a tax issue is a very potentially controversial hypothesis. I've argued with many clients about this topic that, they insist that the issue in Mexico is, people don't want to pay taxes, people don't want to formalize. And certainly there's a segment for whom that is true. But I think you're discovering that that is not the deal breaker for everyone. And that, so I'm thrilled to hear that. And let's learn more.
Yeah, and let me tell you something, Lindsay. This myth is because they relate it with traditional payment methods. Like, for example, I don't know, like common PSP. The orange one, we all know that they're doing really great stuff. They correlate that they currently sell, I don't know, 10 items per week. And those same 10 items are gonna be now taxed. Or if they accept a digital payment method like credit cards and debit cards, those same 10 sales are gonna be subject to tax. But by the time that you tell to the merchant, you're not gonna sell 10 anymore. With my solution, you're gonna sell 13. But at the end of the day, you need to accept some tax payment because of these digital sales. The conversation is really different because it is not the same thing to tell them, I mean, you're gonna accept 10 you're gonna make 10 sales, but if you accept credit and debit cards, probably you're gonna sell faster and all the stuff. They correlate this to the same amount of sales. I don't know if I'm explaining myself, but at the end of the day, when you told them you are gonna sell more, and with my tool you're gonna be a more efficient business, and you're gonna get rid of a lot of processes, and I'm giving you an added value of selling more and help you with the selling. It is very different to accept the platform with just accepting the payment, because I'm gonna tell you something very interesting in a moment, explaining Aida, but I don't know if I make the point here.
So tell us, Erick, who are the customers? What is the profile of businesses that you're talking about? Because certainly there are informal companies or companies that are only cash only and resist digitization for, tax reasons. What is the profile of company that does have this type of demand? Did you hear me, Erick? I think you cut out for a moment, or maybe it was me.
No. Sorry, no, it was me. I lost you.
Okay. I was asking you, tell us who the average customer for Aida is. What is the pro?
I got it back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now, very good. Sorry.
Okay, there's a bit of a delay. I'm gonna try. Tell us who the average customer for Aida is. What is the profile of business that has demand for this type of service?
Micro businesses and solo sellers with less than 9 people in the company that sell at least one consumer good or one service through social media. That's my current customer.
And are they typically registered as a business? Are they operating as an individual? What are their feelings about formalization, that type of thing?
90% as individual.
Okay.
90% of as individual, and half of them already registered in the taxing organization in Mexico that is called SAT. That is like, the same in Latin America and all stuff.
So you said half of them are already registered with the tax authorities?
Yes.
And what about those who are not registered? How do they deal with this idea of, oh, I might be taxed for this income?
surprisingly, we haven't had, I don't know if we're still growing yet, but we haven't had mm, a single merchant that doesn't tell us I don't have a bank account. So this is pretty interesting, because if they are selling already in social media, or they are selling already in a Shopify store, or they are selling already through WhatsApp, just that they already receive wire transfers, or they receive cash deposits in Oxo, for example, and those stuff. So they already have a bank account. That they declare the taxes and all the stuff, it's a different story, actually.
Okay.
So what's Aida? Now let me get into what's Aida. As a conversational AI business center, we try to leverage what we have in the ecosystem already into a single platform that is WhatsApp. And of course, we are moving into a more sophisticated businesses, because we're realizing that we can attend bigger industries and bigger customers. So we have the API for a customer integration. But for instance, the start product is a plug and play solution in WhatsApp. You make your onboarding story in WhatsApp, and in just 10 minutes, you currently have a digital catalog with all the payment methods included, and you have WhatsApp POS, and the third product that we already have, it's the business bot, an AI business bot. So it's a plug and play solution that in less than 10 minutes you can start selling. That's why we claim that we go for a new generation of entrepreneurs. And you already told us with the statistics that you saw, a lot of people it's starting to have their own businesses, even though they have a 9 to 5 job. They are starting a business, and of course, there is an economy that is pushing the people in order to get a new income, a new source of wealth, and if and a lot of people, it's getting independent from their works, actually. So we already saw it. 90% of the business are less than 9 people, and we want to give Aida the tool of this to the owner of this businesses, because like 90% of the times, more of that, the owner of these businesses is the one that sell. It's the one that makes the payment. I mean, receives the payment. It's the one that look for the customers. Is the one that manage almost the whole business. So we're aiming to deliver this tool to the owner of this kind of businesses, in order for them to not deal with so many tools, and are really oriented tools in a conversational platform in order to make them sell more. And we have 2 metrics that by like by itself converting to sales: conversion and cost of acquisition. So we aim to increase 20% more conversion and 30% less cost of acquisition. So cost per acquisition. Sorry. So that's the objective for Aida. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. In a conversational platform, Aida is a bot. We call it a system, not a bot, because I think we're smart enough in the platform in order to call it a bot. But you just type to Aida. Aida want to create my account. Aida is gonna get you through the whole process in less than 10 minutes. You're gonna get an online shop that we call it the digital catalog, and all the payment methods included in that digital catalog. And if you want to sell something besides the digital catalog, you have a POS embedded in WhatsApp that you ask for payment links with all the payments included. And we are showing in this slide what comes from Aida next. We're gonna help the businesses to make payouts. Cross-border payments is pretty important for them, to make payment to the vendors, to other customer, to other like employees outside the country. They want to make payouts, massive payouts. They also want to get into the crypto thing because they receive payments into crypto. They already they're going to start with the business bot. What is this? That in a matter of minutes you can personalize a really complex bot in order to serve your customers. You're gonna get bill payments, like for example, I want to pay. This is something that can sound pretty dull, but for them it's pretty useful. We have done the research with our current customers. You can pay the energy electricity bill. You can pay the phone bill, because the solo sellers and the micro businesses, they had to handle this, and 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 they don't have like an assistant to make them for them. They handle this. They're gonna get selling tools like booking, like a quarter, like for example, Aida, make me a quote for a customer, and then you get a PDF right straight from the chat. They're gonna get the loyalty system. That is one of the tools that most of the SMEs look for to get, but they are expensive tools that make them to go for another vendor to another contract and all the stuff. And we're gonna do gamification. That's the beauty of AI and conversational. We can implement really complex tools for these businesses. For example, Ida, get me the invoice for this sale, get me the invoice for this purchase, and also you can get your invoices I don't know, generated by Aida, for the ones that you want to deduct for the taxes. Not only to emit invoices, but also to get the invoices that you need for your tax deduction. And one of the most important things, the data. We're gonna make accessible and democratize a really complex tool in order to make them data-driven businesses. That it is impossible for micro businesses and solo sellers today, because they cannot access to an ERP. They cannot access to a data scientist in order to make real complex decisions about data. But we're gonna get there by the time that we grow the platform with them. Data is gonna be the future of Aida. Data is gonna be the future of Aida, And
Erick, if I can pause you for a moment, I think, are you hearing me?
Yes, sorry.
Okay,
I think that I have connection problems.
Okay, let's see if we can. I want to give the audience a better idea, because when you and I were talking, what really struck me about Aida was that, first of all, as far as I understand, all of this is managed through WhatsApp. So yes. I basically tell the AI bot what I want. If I want to charge a customer, if I want to send an invoice, if I want to look at data, it's all managed through WhatsApp, right? Which is one of the key differentiators. One of the questions here is, how do you compare Aida to Shopify or Wix, right? Aida's not a website builder, right?
No, that's a really good question, and I get that question a lot. Talking with Eduardo, the ex-CEO of Shopify Mexico, they told me that they had a really great challenge, because Shopify, it is not as simple as use for these micro and solo sellers. I mean, of course, there is tech-savvy people that can manage in order to get a Shopify page, but it is not just that. I mean, of course, if you are of the very few ones that are capable in order to build for your own a Shopify and not paying an agency in order to make it for you, then you have the challenge to make it an e-commerce, because it is very different to have a web page that it is just informative with all your products. But what about the payments? Those payments are plugins of third parties. And then you need to make an account with them in an external page and make a development with written code in order to make the integration of the local payments in your e-commerce. So it is not for the it is not for the English teacher that uses Aida in order to charge for the classes through WhatsApp. Shopify is not for the direct seller lady that we call her that sells goods from, I don't know, for example, Betterware or Avon and all the stuff. You cannot say to them, build your Shopify thing. That's the challenge that they face, the easy of use, the experience, and of course that's why we realized, and that's why we gave them a really simple tool in order for them to start selling.
So Erick, let's talk a moment about payment methods, because we have some questions related to pay-ins and payouts. Before we go to the questions, I was also very surprised. We're thinking about this segment, right? And they, around the world, are screaming for fast and low-cost payment methods, right? And we've seen P2P apps be used. We've seen Pix and Spay be used. But I was kind of shocked to hear that in your case, cards are actually the dominant payment method so far, right? And so can you speak to that a little bit? And, there's a couple questions around payouts in Mexico. Do you have a real-time micropayment solution? How do you see payment needs and preferences of your customers playing out?
Yes, it comes again from the multi-mayhem tool problem. I mean, as a solo seller, you want to deal with the less vendors that you can. And for example, if you are going to go for the traditional way, you get to deal with Shopify. Then if you want to start accepting credit cards, you need to deal with Clip. And that's a complete platform, even though they are integrated. If you want to accept cash, you need to go with, for example, Arcus, for example, and then you need to deal with Arcus as well. And then if you want to accept wire transfers, you need to go with STP. I'm talking about Mexico, but at the end of the day, I just mentioned 5 different vendors in order to get you integrated online shopping experience with all the payment methods, or the most important ones. What about with just Aida as a unique vendor in order to help you deal with those vendors? So answering the question, with just one onboarding, I'm connected through API with these different payment methods vendors, because payments, it's not my business. I am outsourcing the payments. So by the time that the solo seller or the micro business enroll with me, I already enroll it with the different payment processes that I have a partnership with. And through an API, the merchant doesn't even know, only by the terms and conditions, that they are enrolling to different payment methods. And in a plug-and-play solution, they already have all the payment methods, available. And I'm not saying that the credit cards and debit cards are the most important payment method used by these guys, but it's the most demanding for me in this case. It's the one that they ask more for me. But at the end of the day, cash and wire transfers are the biggest ones in the general scope of use regarding not speaking about Aida. I don't know if I explain myself. And that's a whole new experience that we implemented with this kind of solo sellers, that help them out in order to start digitizing their payments, because with just one single onboarding, they already have a whole scope of digital payment methods, digital catalog, and they are up to go in order to start selling. By the time that they finish their account in Aida, they can start selling through WhatsApp, sending the link of their digital catalog to all their payment their social networks. And also, I do manage to have wholesale pricing for the rates to these merchants, because by the time that you partner with these payment methods, you get a wholesale pricing that is really lower. It is way lower, than if individually these merchants go for a different partner for this one. So that's where you close the deal, where you get them a less amount of vendors, a plug and play solution that lives in their main distribution channel, that is channel that is WhatsApp, their main channel of sales, and then you get lower rates of payment because Aida makes the payment processors to see the merchants as a wholesale.
Okay, cool.
So I have an observation or question stroke observation. Sorry for jumping in there. There is a massive, massive market out there for business services to the smallest businesses across the developing world. It's huge. It's like no one's really covering it comprehensively the way you're looking. It looks like you're doing that. And what's interesting is it's wide open. I talked to Intuit a couple of years ago. They were not interested. I talked to Google earlier this year. They were not interested. I mean, it's sitting there for whoever grabs it and ties it in with payments, because that was a conversation I was having with both of them. Business services tied in with payments. You can own the business world globally. That's there for you. This is huge what you've got here. You make it easy for the small business, you're going to own that market. There's huge potential you've got. And I'm assuming you're going to go beyond WhatsApp. You're going to go to other platforms later. But right now you start off with with one. So I'm loving what you're doing. I think this is phenomenal, the potential that you've got here. You've really seen an opportunity.
Thank you very much, Nick, and nice to salute you.
Yeah, I agree, Nick, and what I think, Eric, is exciting about what you're doing is you're starting to correct two huge myths that the payments industry has had about emerging markets. Number one, the tax issue that we discussed, right? That people don't want to pay taxes. And number two, that people don't want to, that people need a free payment method, that people don't want to pay fees. And I think what you're starting to show is that those two things are not true. If you can have the right platform, people people see that it will help them sell,
yes,
they will utilize it, right? And eventually, you've got those two, of course, fees and the competition between different payment rails will always be there. And of course, low cost is going to be preferred, but that in itself is not the barrier. I have a lot of conversations with clients, and we debate this hypothesis: is making something free enough to promote adoption? And we really found that even if you bring card acceptance fees down to zero, that doesn't solve their key pain point, which is the user experience, which is what you're speaking to. So I think that is, if I were you and I were pitching, I would showcase those two myths and prove, with your data and your performance so far, how those two things are not true. And of course, over the long term, you will have to address those two barriers, taxation and cost, but they're not the number one deal breaker, right? That's what I really see and find exciting here.
Yes.
Can I jump in and just add to that? People don't mind paying a fee if they know what it's for.
Right.
If they go, okay, well, and it's not excessive as well. The problem with the card systems is that it's so hazy. No one understands who's getting what. Everyone thinks Visa gets it. They get almost nothing. It's the issuing bank gets it all. So people don't mind the fee so long as they understand what it's for. Then they're okay. They're going, oh, I'm paying 0.25% for this. Well, that sounds reasonable. They're providing a service to me. People are okay with that. So I just wanted to add on to that, Lindsay.
Yes,
absolutely.
We call it no more MDR, welcome selling rate.
Say that again, Eric?
No more MDR, merchant discount rate. That's in danger of extinction. Welcome selling rate.
Welcome selling rate. Okay, I like that. Yep, because merchant discount rate is a terrible term, right? I like that. I think someone else is trying to jump in.
Yeah, it's me, Lindsay. Erick,
oh, hi. Yeah,
Yeah, Erick, I just have a question that it's regarding personalization, because as you mentioned when Lindsay asked regarding the ideal customer, we have like a lot of people from different backgrounds of sailing or different types of business. And I wanted to ask, because we know that personalization is something really important. And from what I'm understanding here with the conversational AI, it's possible basically to personalize the consumer's needs. So you're using AI to personalize and not using like the like other type of payment providers or vendors that use like one size fits all when it gets super complex for the SMEs or social sellers, right? Just to make sure I'm understanding, and if you can talk about more about personalization, I think that would be great.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, the greatest case of personalization is the business bot that we're about to release for these customers. They don't have access in order to pay for a real huge company. This go, for example, Jallo, Aronix, all those companies aim for HSBC. They aim for Walmart. They don't aim for these kind of businesses. So with just a little descriptor of the payment flow that you want to, Aida follows, you can get a real complex conversational business bot in order to make the sales for you. And you can get a coffee and the business bot of Aida is going to be selling for you. And they're going to be sharing the online shop, and you can give them a personalized, let me say, customization of your personality of the business. You tell Aida you're a business that only operates in Mexico City, and you sell I don't know, like cleaning goods and all stuff, and then you get a real huge personalized business bot. And with the, all the data that Aida, by the way, is generating, the data, the last, we're gonna make by the time to make this focus. I don't know if I made myself, I made my point, Aida is gonna be personalized with large language models for the whole experience of the merchant side Aida.
Erick, one question, Erick. Based on, I agree with Nick on this idea. I really think that AIDA has a lot, and it's the value proposition of having everything in one single platform and not avoiding for the SME to be, dealing with different vendors. But you mentioned a couple of times about Mexico. Are AIDA
Yes.
available right now already in other markets in Latin America? What is in the US? What is your expansion program so far?
Yeah, so 2024 is gonna be just Mexico. 2025, it's gonna be Latin America, starting with Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina. That we already saw that those are the most I mean, with those countries, you get about 90% of the SMEs in the region.
Good to know. Thank you.
Erick, we have just about 5 more minutes. So can you take a look at the questions and see if, do you have a real-time micropayment solution? Can you speak to that?
No, we don't have a micropayment solution. Of course, it is on the roadmap, but we are not a payment provider, as we said. We are not trying to get the most revenue of payments. Of course, we get some revenue, but the main business model, I didn't mention it, is a SaaS. I charge for a monthly fee depending on how many tools that you are seeing in the screen are on or off. But real-time micropayments are something that we already tested in the past. It worked, just we haven't made it affordable enough. But it's the future.
Got it. And I guess, Erick, your vendors, your customers aren't really in this segment yet, right? They're kind of high ticket is what you mentioned, right? So far.
Yes, something very impressive that I saw is that B2B payments are very important for these guys. I mean, a solo seller buys the supplements from another micro or solo seller as well. So the tickets that we're seeing in the transactions in this kind of use cases is huge, about $500 average ticket. And that's a whole new business spectrum that, of course, I know that biz is not seeing.
Yeah. So this is for B2B as well. So I think that's also
Yes.
a very interesting segment. Well, Erick, thank you. Best of luck. I know you're still getting started, but I think, we can all agree you're onto something very exciting. And I like the fact, not that I find it interesting that, you're not a payments company, right? Your payments are part of your business, but you're not trying to solve payments essentially. It's something bigger than that. Which I think is a very needed message to the payments industry, that payments alone isn't going to solve the challenge for this segment. So thank you for sharing with us. And I encourage you to reach out to Erick via LinkedIn to connect and learn more. So thank you so much, Erick. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you very much, everyone that joined. I was very excited to make my first coffee chat with Aida. Hope there's an opportunity of the near future to make it with Recharge Aida. And of course, reach me out. We can talk if you want to know a little bit more Aida. And of course, if you see a potential partnership with whatever you do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Please bookmark August 5th. We'll be back for our next coffee chat. I really appreciate all the questions and you guys tuning in today. So thank you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next month.